Alright, check it out. From the labeling here, you can see we got a little pack in from Bombing Science. I sent them a question, interested in some new caps they started to offer. A really cool new product. Looks like we got a fresh set of blank stickers and some Bombing Science stickers as well on top. Allegedly world's smallest cap. We'll see how crazy that gets out to be. Super excited to try that out. Got some gloves in the mix. First pair of some fat cap socks. That's kind of fun. Haven't seen these before. Looks like we got a whole set of paint as well. So they were super kind of hooking it up. Hunted down these mosquito caps. Not so sure exactly how long these have been around, but I just saw them pop out maybe 2-3 weeks ago online. Looks like to be a stock level 1 cap, and then you got that super fine, almost needle poking out of there. Careful not to drop this. It also comes with a little wire. You can barely see the wire here, but it's basically used to help clear out any paint that gets clogged in there. And then it looks like we've also got a little gasket like stopper there, so maybe that'll help limit how much you actually depress the cap. So we got a little instruction to come along with it. Looks like best to use with low pressure. Acetone spray cap is recommended for clearing it out. That's also good to know. No more wasted paint with stencil caps. Yeah, I mean honestly, that's my biggest complaint about using kind of stencil cap style thin lines is you end up burning a bunch of paint and then have to deal with that afterwards. So let's check out what else we got in the box. Sticking with the caps, we got some calligraphy tips here in the red. Looks like we got a little bit leaking on this bullet tip. Might have to salvage that up and see what we can do with that. We got some Bombing Science pins. It's pretty sweet. We got the Bombing Science logo on there, and then we got the Lego cap on that pin. Very sweet. New Iron Lac basic cans. I can't say I've ever seen the gray version of this. That's pretty sweet. What color do we have here? We have Chiller. Really nice blue right there. Like that a lot. Regular Iron Lac in the matte black. These even look a little bit different than the last cans I have. And that Atlantic blue. Purple's complement and eggplant. Got that deep pink in the lipstick colorway. So we got apricot, we got the hunter green, and then we got last up that sour. Very nice lime green on that. Definitely my favorite of the bunch. And looks like we got some split streakers here, the F series. Got a couple different pinwheels there. Following out with some crinks. These are the Crink K11s. Haven't used these before either. Not the traditional metal body I'm used to seeing with Crink. So got a little bit of plastic body, but you know, Crink's paint is where it's all at. And then one more bullet. This one seemed to survive just fine. So I'm not sure what happened to that other one. Maybe the altitude change made it pop out altogether. Ready to get into this mosquito cap review. I guess be on the lookout for other information about some of these other markers. I'll see what I can do to mix them in the bunch. But the main desire here is definitely getting to those super skinny lines, and let's see what we can work out with this and how small it actually will end up spraying. Got our caps ready to go. I think we might as well just start in with the Iron Lac Black. Get some sprays down, see how skinny these actually end up being. Definitely going to want to make sure to clear off my can and shake it up, because if there's too much pigment, like, you know, Iron Lac has that long spray of pigment that builds up in it, I feel like that's going to easily clog this up. So I'm going to spray it out with the stock tip to start, make sure it's clear and ready to go, and that way the paint will be as mixed as possible before we get it into the skinny cap. I was talking to the guys from Mosquito Cap, and it looks like there's 2 different discs in here that can be taken out if you want to have different pressure down. I'm going to leave it in just for now, get the first sprays off. That hopefully will give some variability with how much pressure you actually need to put down, or how much of a throw you can actually depress the cap before it kind of bottoms out. Spin this on. Oh, no avail there. Looks like that locks up too much on the Iron Lac, so let's take off this first one. It's definitely pretty squishy. How's that side? And we got a slightly smaller black one down there. Try again. Geez, that is teeny tiny. You can see coming away from the wall a little, you can get a little bit wider of a mist. Then if you're up close, you get literally a pencil thin line. So it seems to be the skinny line is about 1/8 of an inch. So that is something that I can't say I've ever seen from a little cap, and I'm so surprised with how consistent that line is. Some of the demos I saw other people doing it looked a little spottier, but man, this is, the skinny line that you've always wanted. Right on. I guess I'll do a little demo of another skinny cap. You can get a comparison of the two sizes. So here we got a gray dot, and let's give that a try to show you that the size comparison to something more traditional. Now, gray dot's not the skinniest cap, but looks like we're, you know, about an inch tall for that line. But you can just totally see when you're an eighth of that size, this is gonna add some really sweet hit-ups to pieces. After just a few sprays, you can see we got a little bit of paint pooling at the end, but compared to a stencil cap that you'd have already a bucket of paint with, this is a really sweet hit-up. So, I don't know, let's hit some tags and have some fun with it now. So it's holding the cap down a little bit longer, and the spray hangs out after I've released it. So I want to see if taking the last stopper off will help with that. As you can see, watch, you know, my finger releases and it got almost a third of a second afterwards. I've definitely bumped the wall a couple times with it. You know, it feels like it's pretty on there, so not worried about it kind of knocking off, but definitely can't get as close to the wall as I normally am. Having second thoughts about if it's actually the can and cap sticking or if it's just the paste that I want to spray at. So slowing it down a little bit seems to help keep the pace, and it doesn't seem to want to drip at the end, and you can kind of finish off your line without having it kind of maintain the spray. Just ending my line a little bit earlier as well. Alright, well I got this mini canvas for the thumbnail, but we might as well give it a try, see how small we can actually get. I'm definitely noticing when you're having the cap maybe 6 inches away from the wall, it's pretty much a standard size spray for a skinny cap, but it's really when you get up close is where it shines, and you can get this super kind of quick linear line. I'm definitely getting better as we go, but straight lines with nice quick movements seem to be the most consistent line at that really skinny level. So let's strategically try to maybe start with the background and slowly layer on stuff so we can cut back as needed. So even the medium-sized canvas here was a little ambitious to do the whole thing with just the mosquito cap. I ended up doing a kind of a larger scale poster style, and that worked out really well. It was a perfect size. The letter probably was 2 or 3 feet tall. Nothing huge, but all together, nothing super tiny either. So for my style, this is a great size for the cap. It seemed that I had enough ability to go and cut lines back, even do some shading, as well as go super slow and really get my line where I wanted it to be. This isn't a super technical piece by any means. The kind of funky style worked great with the cap, and honestly, the pace you want to paint at with this cap is a ton slower than normal. Not that I feel genuinely rushed with skinny caps and low pressure paint. You know, you can really still take your time and you won't get too many drips nowadays, but even slowing that down 2 or 3 more times, you can get a super slow line on the page and really get it to where you want to go. So that kind of opens up a new level of learning, in that you gotta have to be a little bit more precise, and you can't just, you know, rely on the momentum of your arm to get the line down where you want it to be. You're gonna have to be a little bit more tailored in exactly what you're putting down, but altogether I think this is gonna be a great tool that I can kind of further learn with and keep moving. Once I'm done, I'm just going to flip the can over and make sure that I can just put the propellant through it, spray it all the way out. You can see it click there, no more paint and pigments coming out. That should clear it out pretty well. I'm also going to come in with a little wire, press that in there. So I originally dropped these in some paint thinner, and that definitely didn't clear them out quite well enough. It took off some of the paint on here, not too much paint left over on the stem. Gonna go with the full recommendation from the mosquito cap guys and drop it in some acetone. My little rubber gasket had a little bit of trouble around the first one. It seemed to make it kind of spread out and expand a little bit, so whether that's softening up that plastic or not, just gonna take that out for this second time around. Should be plenty to cover the caps up, and honestly, acetone should probably work quite a bit quicker than overnight, so hopefully I can shake this around and get these rolling. Yeah, look at that. You can already see just a little bit of shaking. It's already way darker than the perfectly translucent. Well, I'm anxious to see if that's all it takes. I'm not sure how close acetone is to like nail polish remover, but it dries super fast in the air. My cap's pretty much dry now. Hands are almost dry to the touch. All right, let's give this a spray.
I will say though that the acetone is going to be an essential to have on hand. I didn't notice that the cap was clogging up while I was painting by any means, but as soon as I stopped and let it dry up totally, it definitely needed a little rinse out with the acetone. So my biggest suggestion is maybe keep a little jar on hand just that you can wash through, or pick up one of those acetone cans that they sell nowadays that actually will spray right through the cap. So just a kind of second fold of this piece that you're going to definitely want to have that on hand, and when the caps are running $10 a piece, you're going to want to keep a good care of them, making sure not to let it get too clogged up on you. I know I've featured a few stencil caps on the channel and I really do love those as a tool, but the wasted paint that comes along with it, or the paint that ends up in a reservoir, is somewhat of a hassle at the end of the day. So this is a great step forward to a cap that actually will be able to utilize an extra skinny line in the respects that it's smaller than your traditional cap. And in a practical sense, I'm not painting super high detail work that needs that really small size. Most of my stuff would totally be covered by the mosquito cap, so for a lot of people out there, this might be the new tool that you really want to try out and get learning with. And like I said earlier, pulling the can a little bit further away from the wall, you get a generally normal size skinny line, but it's going to have a little bit softer edges, and the big bonus there is that it also will be that slower spray. Altogether, I think this is a tool I can genuinely really suggest to try out. I had no complaints using it on both the basic and the traditional Iron Lac cans. They worked flawlessly, so I'm sure a ton of other brands are going to be compatible with this. So feel free to leave a comment down below if you guys have tried out the mosquito cap. I know it's been out for a few weeks now, so I'm sure everybody else kind of had their eyes on it too, and I was excited to really give it the demo. So huge shout out to Bombing Science for helping put this and organize this all together. If you guys want to check out the website for the exact listing, I'll have that, as well as the link to the mosquito caps Instagram down in the description of the video. I can't say I've got any new stuff on the web shop, but I've got a bunch of stuff marked down and a few little sales going on with some stickers and some apparel, so maybe go check that out if you haven't been spammed enough with some holiday sales. I got some pretty sweet listings up there for the time being, and maybe some new products dropping real soon, so keep an eye out there, and hopefully you enjoyed the little review and tutorial style here. I definitely had a fun time getting into the few different projects, and super happy with some of the outcomes. Feel free to spray that like button if you enjoyed the video, and maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already. Got a few heater uploads coming real soon, so you won't want to miss those as well. That's really going to do it for me, guys. Peace.